It's interesting to learn about how the movie business works. In order to make something that studios spend hundreds of millions of dollars on, people may have to deal with delays, busy schedules, and big partnerships for months or even years. But for some reason, when it comes to the most important part, talking about the idea in a few interviews, things seem to go wrong. This leads us to Rachel Zegler, an actress who quickly went from being not very well known to getting big roles in movies. Even though she has had these amazing chances, people don't talk about her acting very often. It usually focuses on the things she says or does that are questionable. For those who might not have noticed, she often says the wrong thing at the wrong time. A bit might not be enough. Steven Spielberg's West Side Story made Rachel Zegler famous in 2021.
Just saying.
She quickly became a big star after getting a lot of praise for her singing and acting as Maria. Even though the movie didn't do well at the box office, it got good reviews and was nominated for a number of awards, including Best Picture at the Oscars. But problems started to come up when Zegler said she hadn't been invited to the Academy Awards. Her online statement that she would be watching from home while sweating right away got a lot of attention. People were very upset with the Academy for ignoring her. Not long after, she got an invitation, maybe because her boss was under a lot of public pressure. This situation added to the story that she wasn't afraid to say what she thought, even when it wasn't the best time, and it made a lot of people feel like they had the right to do so. Yes, I am Snow White. No, I'm not bleaching my skin.
Not too sure that was a clever move.
Disney said in 2021 that Rachel Zegler would play the role of Snow White in a live-action movie. People quickly figured out that she didn't fit the mold of the character, who is known for having skin as white as snow. An actor would usually say something like, "I'm honored to bring a fresh perspective to such an iconic role," but she took a different approach and said the problem was that all of this didn't help the criticism. In fact, it made it worse. Instead of making the conversation easier, it gave them more to talk about, and all of a sudden her attitude was part of the story too. If everything had seemed like small warning signs up until this point, a number of now famous interviews caused things to spiral out of control at the D23 Expo the following year. Rachel said in one of them that she had only seen the original movie once when she was a kid and hadn't seen it again until she was getting ready for the role. This made it clear that she didn't like the old animation very much.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love.
Also, when asked what she meant by giving the remake a more modern feel, her answer seemed more like correction than a clear update. Many people didn't like the idea that it was no longer 1937, and that the story didn't follow the usual true love plot. It was sure to get a lot of criticism to show those changes in that way for something as well known and loved as Snow White. She said the same thing again in another interview during the same press run, which made the conversation even more heated.
There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
This time, her words made people even more angry. She made the prince look bad and even said he stalked her, which many people thought made fun of an important part of the story that the audience had grown to love. When these quotes from the interview started to spread online, they seemed to back up what a lot of people had already thought. The main actress didn't like the first movie, and the remake was making big changes. She kept talking about Shazam after her appearances at the D23 Expo, even though her comments had already drawn a lot of criticism. When asked about joining the DC superhero world in Fury of the Gods, she had a hard time keeping her cool.
I needed a job. I'm being so serious.
If she really needed the job, you would expect her to be professional and at least try to promote the movie properly. From her answer, it seemed like the project was too easy for her. It wasn't just being honest. It seemed like being honest at the wrong time. It's one thing to be honest and another to hurt the project you are supposed to be working on. A few years later, before Snow White came out in early 2025, her interviews seemed much more scripted. Most of them were in very controlled settings, where she couldn't stray from the script. This time, it was clear that Disney didn't want to take any chances. But those safety measures didn't last long. Rachel posted Free Palestine on X not long after the teaser came out, which led to more discussion. It is said that a producer even flew to New York to ask her take down the messages, but she said no.
You serious?
No matter what side of the issue you were on, the timing was controversial. At that exact moment during the international advertising for a major Disney movie, making a very controversial political statement was sure to cause a stir. The setting was more important than the message itself. Big studio ads need to appeal to a wide range of people, and going into controversial areas could turn people off. Snow White had a hard time from the start until it came out in 2025 because of bad press, bad artistic choices, an audience that had already made up its mind. Aside from Rachel Zegler, one of the most talked about subjects was how the seven dwarfs were treated. Disney had planned to hire actors with dwarfism, but Peter Dinklage thought the idea was old-fashioned, especially the part about them living in caves. So the company changed its mind. Disney was in a no-win situation when the studio replaced them with CGI characters. This made things even worse because some actors with dwarfism said it took away rare chances for them. The CGI dwarf's strange look and terrible animation, which were very different from the rest of the movie's graphics, made things even worse. Rachel Zegler's performance didn't do much to change people's bad opinions of the project. Many people liked her voice, but they thought she didn't have the charm and warmth that the role needed. Her public behavior hasn't always matched the idea of being a role model that comes with being a Disney princess, especially for kids. In the end, Snow White didn't work because almost everything about it didn't work, from its bad PR to its bad artistic choices. Rachel Zegler was at the center of it all, and her close ties to the issues in the movie didn't help change that view. After the release, she talked about the criticism, saying it was a confusing time and even wondering if she could have avoided using her phone if she had known what was going to happen. She also said that it hurt her mental health, which is something that shouldn't be ignored. But it's also fair to say that a lot of the problems came from how and when she said what she said. People might have been more understanding if she had just admitted that these were mistakes she made while learning in the spotlight. But that wasn't the end of Rachel Zegler's PR problems. She talked about another event at the start of 2026, which brought up the issue again.
My approach to beauty was a lot more shaped by what I was witnessing in big pieces of media. It was definitely very Eurocentric as I was growing up.
You're talking absolute shit again.
This comes off as condescending in the end. There have been many famous Latina performers in popular media over the years, but her claim that she didn't see anyone who looked like her on screen when she was a kid isn't quite true. The way she framed it might make it seem like the representation that already exists is lessened. It's not about beauty standards anymore. This claim doesn't hold up when you look at it more closely, and that has been a problem that keeps coming up. People often criticize her for what she says and, more importantly, how she says it. Rachel Zegler often gives the impression that she doesn't have the self-awareness that comes with being as famous as she is. She often talks without thinking, relies too much on her own opinion, and doesn't always think about how her words might be taken. She shows this tendency in many ways, like how she talks about movies, handles promotion, shares personal stories, and has bigger conversations. This kind of bad judgment happens in a lot of other situations as well. It's not just in this one. Rachel Zegler's biggest problem right now isn't the media, the industry, or the audience. It's herself. That's the hard truth.
Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to our channel.